That's
Okay, Anil, we are at 12 o'clock mark, so you can start.
Let us take that on.
Okay. Hello, everyone, and welcome to today's webinar. Thanks for joining. Hope you all doing well in these unprecedented times. Happy July 4th weekend. Have a great time. Here you go, Anshuman. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Anil, and thank you to the panel, Ashish Sabu and Ashok Desai. Thank you, Ravi, for moderating our events. I will quickly do a screen share and take you through TiE and what it does for us. So all of you can see my slides. Anil, can you see my slides?
Excellent. Yes, we can.
Yeah, we can.
Okay. So TiE SoCal, it is the first chapter out of TiE Global. We established in 23 years ago in 1997. The basics of TiE is entrepreneurship and wealth creation. And we bring various topics, webinar events, to fulfill those desires. And, this is also a networking platform. Two new things is happening this year with TiE Global, and it will percolate to all the chapters. One is the Opportunity Network. All the charter members of TiE Global and TiE SoCal, as well as the other chapters, must have received an email from TiE Global talking about the Opportunity Network. It is a membership-only networking platform with about 30,000 people on this platform. And those are business owner where you can buy and sell your product and services. The membership cost of that network itself is $750 per year, but for TiE SoCal, TiE charter members, it is free. So if you have not received that email or have not created your account in that, please get in touch with either Anil or myself, and we'll help you in doing that. These are some of the events which are coming up. TiE SoCal Connect. Ravi does that every Mondays and Fridays, 4 to 5 p.m. Microsoft Solution for Small Business is coming up on July 8th. We have a great speaker from Microsoft who will be taking us through what are the offerings from Microsoft for small businesses and entrepreneurs, including startups. TiE SoCal Angels virtual pitch event is going to be on July 22nd. This is going to be the fourth pitching event. We just floated a TiE SoCal Angels fund, and we are very close in closing this fund at $1 million. Right now, we stand at $850,000 of investment in there. Each event, there are 4 startups who pitch. We do the pre-screening of about 20 to 30 startups who apply through various means, including our website, which is www.tiesocalangels.com, and you can upload your startup pitch deck over there, and then the pre-screening team reviews the pitch deck and talk to those entrepreneurs and business owners, and then they are given a slot for the virtual pitch event. On July 29th, again a Wednesday, it would be a TiE SoCal Women's Series, and Rashi Bari, who is the TiE Women Chair, she will be moderating that event. With that, today we are here to talk about experiences, lessons, opportunities in managing the home office-based workforce. And Ravi, with that, over to you.
Fantastic. Thank you, Anil. Thank you, Ashish, for this. This is a great event today. We have 28 participants so far. So welcome all to our topic here today, experiences, lessons, and opportunities in managing a home office-based workforce in the COVID era. So before I introduce my guests and get right into the topic, here are a few logisticals, right? To all attendees, what we are going to do is we have two guests. They're going to get 15-minute speaking slots each, and it'll be followed by questions and answers. Please type in all your questions, comments, any observations in the Q&A box at the bottom of your screen. It's the Q&A box, not the chat box, please. We are all going to look into that. Following the two conversations, following Ashok and Ashish's presentations, between Anil, Anshuman, and myself, we will alternate in reading out the questions, and the Ashish and Ashok will get a chance to address them. By the way, if there are some people in the audience who have their own experiences with their workforce and workspace in this new era, feel free to put in a few comments in that box and we will try to read it out, okay? That said, what say you we get started, right? It is my great pleasure to welcome so first of all, our topic here. A little bit about a background. This was actually brought up by Ashish at TiE SoCal Connect a few weeks back, and we thought it would be such a beautiful topic, right? We are in this COVID era where we have been forced as business leaders to change the way we work, and we are adapting to these new shelter-in-place rules, right? We are all in our home offices, isolated from others, isolated from our workforces. Business leaders have teams spread out locally and globally. What once was a closed work environment has now changed. And with employees working from their homes, business leaders setting up their employees, what are the challenges that we are facing, right? What are the challenges? What are the opportunities? What are the experiences? What is this whole new environment like, right? And that's what Ashish started this a few weeks back with. So we thought it would make for a good panel. And so our goal here is to understand the risks. What are the risks? What are your experiences? What are your opportunities as we settle into this new norm, right? My first speaker is Mr. Ashok Desai. As founder and chief business officer, Ashok oversees business and strategy at Zimmer Inc. Zimmer Inc. is a full stack cloud native platform and engineering software development services company headquartered in Silicon Valley. A serial entrepreneur, Ashok has started 2 multi-platform gaming companies before establishing Zimmer. He has grown and managed 100 million plus businesses, dollars worth businesses for global multinationals, including Oracle, Silicon Graphics. By the way, that's an awesome product, man. I'm telling you, that's such a beautiful computer and platform. Sascan, Symphony, Teleca. Ashok has spent over 12 years at SGI, driving its expansion into the burgeoning Southeast Asian market and Asia Pacific marketplaces. Ashok holds an executive MBA from Stanford University and MS in physics from MS University, Baroda. Welcome, Ashok.
Thank you.
The microphone is all yours. So I know you have a presentation, Ashok. Tell us a little bit more about yourself before you get into your presentation. Give us a little bit more about your background. And then when you're ready to present, the green share screen button at the bottom and the microphone is all yours. Thank you for joining us.
Sure. Thank you, Ravi. Appreciate this opportunity. And Ashish, I think this is a fantastic topic. I don't think we can do justice to this huge, kind of event of our lives, talking through this 1 hour. And there is so much experience out there that we can learn from and participate in, which I hope that this will at least help, stimulate some of that coming and sharing amongst the TiE members, not only in our kind of region, but across the world. So just a little bit more, Ravi, thank you for, just saying a bit of my business background. On the personal side, I was born and brought up in Ethiopia. So I spent the first 20 years of my life in Ethiopia. I'm 3rd generation in Ethiopia. My grandfather went to Ethiopia. My father was born there. I was born there. All of us, all my family were born there. And then, as you know, Ethiopia went through a strife, war with Eritrea, etc. That's when I chose to come to India to do my higher education. So I did my undergrad and master's program in India, worked in India for a year, and then I had the opportunity to really go to Singapore at a very early stage. This was in the early 80s. And so I spent about 20 years in Singapore prior to moving to the US. So So Africa, Asia, you can say, the US, originally India, at heart Indian, always. But I'm a Singapore citizen, US resident, and of course was an Indian passport holder before with an OCI, right? So I feel kind of blessed and fortunate to be able to really have this multiple locations as my home. I can go to any of these places and consider that home. And therefore, I look forward to meeting some of you as my business or my personal travels bring me across the world. Getting started with today, let me just share my screen here. These are standard observations we have had. I know that there is a lot more that one can put in, but I've just kind of captured what I think may be useful for us to look at just as a team, and would be nice to really get some feedback from the rest of the participants during the course of this session. All right. So experience-wise, these are our personal experience. And just to mention, Zimmer as a company, right? We are headquartered here in the Bay Area, as Ravi mentioned, but the bulk of our teams are in India, right? We are a company size of about 250 people. We have 2 locations in India, Ahmedabad and Pune. And as some of you may be aware, Ahmedabad really is a kind of a hotspot as when it comes to this particular pandemic. Pune was for some time, but it's a little more under control. Mumbai, we know, is a bigger challenge, but Pune and Ahmedabad, and so we have had kind of slightly different experiences, but on the whole, what I share is really kind of common to both the locations. So actually, because of commute time, we know in India and even here too, commute time had been a big issue. So if we were to look at the commute time and the responsibility that kind of comes with this whole serious, cloud, which we are all, we were all thrust in, it was kind of very heartening to see everybody step up to really say, how do I really make the business work? How do I ensure that the customers are supported? So actually, we saw an increase in productivity, to the tune of about 10%. We measure our productivity by velocity, in the agile methodology, and we could actually see an increase there. And surprisingly, our customers, felt happy that we were able to do that or continue that, right? Employee morale, and we will talk about this a little bit more. The first 3-4 months is always exciting, and everybody finds this kind of unique to be able to really have very flexible timings, be able to work from home, spend time with family, and do many different things, which otherwise would be difficult if you were stacked away in an office, right? So the morale we have seen was very, very high, tremendous amount of enthusiasm and dedication from the employees, across the board actually, which was a bit of a concern in our minds, but that concern was put to rest very quickly as we saw this kind of thing come together. Accountability wise, I think there was something that really happened. Earlier we would see sometimes people are not available. They may be a little late for their meetings, scheduled meetings with customers. But in this case, we found that, there was this higher sense of responsibility and ownership, and everybody was there because they're always there, I guess. Everything started on time, kind of went on as planned, and the output and the delivery kind of worked, I would say beyond our expectation, really, as we were getting into this whole new environment that we all had to deal with, right? From a delivery or outcome perspective, from a business perspective, I would say more than 98% actually, on time delivery. and things happen very, very proactively. We obviously, like many companies, have a very, very mature agile delivery process combined. And, we have also created our own concept of what we call vertical and horizontal pods. These are teams. A pod is a team of a front end, a back end, and a QA person. So it's a full stack kind of a team. We look at a vertical slice, in terms of from an agile perspective, and we get the teams to work on that basis. And we found that to be extremely productive. And we are able to, like everybody does under agile, give a demo every 2 weeks of whatever work that has been done. So there is progress, and there is retrospectives that happen every 2 weeks. So this gave us really the chance to get feedback from customers, even during this difficult times, to see if there were some tweaks that we needed to do, along the way, to keep improving, to keep meeting the requirements of the customer, right? The other benefit we had was really, maybe it's our size, just 225 people, the kind of infrastructure that we had put in place. We became an early adopter of the work from home policy, right? In Gujarat, for example, our teams, we requested them to start working from home almost a week to 10 days before actually the government announced that it's mandatory for everybody to work from home. And so that was that foresight and that desire to kind of say, okay, we can just flip the switch and start working from home, gave us the so-called warm-up period, which was, I think, very useful, and allowed us to really be absolutely to work out any kinks, and to make sure that everybody was really well equipped to deal with this new kind of a situation, right? So no productivity loss, as I said. Work from home, work from office kind of became synonymous. As I said, all our employees have laptops. As I said, we are a small team, so it wasn't difficult for us to instrument all of them with the right tools, Slack, Zoom, laptops, etc. We all know that in India, some of the bigger companies, obviously not everybody has laptops. If they have desktops and things like that, they had to make arrangements for the desktops to be shipped to the homes of the employees, and many different things had to be done really just before they can get to a normal working environment. Fortunately for us, that was really not a big challenge. From a lessons perspective, right, I think that we kind of recognize, as we all know, that work from home in India, especially when you look at from an Indian environment, where you have joint families, extended families, maybe the infrastructure from a facilities perspective is limited, but on the other hand, we have local domestic help and all those other things that kind of makes it, kind of balances out some things. But even that could not happen during this pandemic times, right? So we saw that there was a need for this higher employee engagement. So we had what we call Z quarantine, Z is for Zimmer, Z quarantine challenges, Zappy hours were happy, and, Zoom and happy hours combined to, or Zimmer, Zoom, happy hours, group games, treasure hunt with family. That was quite unique of our HR team, really. It wasn't just for the employees, but we involved there because most of our employees, typically in this business are younger. They would have children, age group from, 2 to 10, 12, 15, more on the younger side than the older side. So we had this kind of, for example, treasure hunt with family. And we thought of, the HR team came up with the different objects, some very intriguing, some easy to find, where even the children and everybody can participate, and everybody was excited, really. And they could really see a little bit about, the company and the work, and that the dad or mom was really having fun, which I think was nice. Cooking competitions, we would announce kind of a winner based on, just the recipe, right? We can't taste anything. but based on the recipe and whether the person has done it the first time or not, we had all those little competitions going. Some Zactor is Zimmer actor kind of recordings. We said put up your recordings, and then there would be voting, and we did that. So some of these fun things kind of helped the team to stay together and to kind of deal with this situation, right? Of course, on the technology or business side, our mature agile process, was very efficient. We didn't have to kind of call people and say, hey, do this, do that, whatever it is. Everything was broken into user stories. Everybody knew what they had to do on a daily basis, and they just did that. In fact, we use agile across all our different departments. Even accounting uses that, HR uses that. Anything that is required becomes a user story. There is an owner, and when it gets done, it gets done. And done has the done criteria, in order to ensure that it's actually done, and it's not just something that people are saying, has happened and it's not happened, right? Dry run ahead of time. I think we did have fire drills in the past, but we did not have work from home drills, right? So I was talking to some friends where they had this work from home drills prior to, they had that every quarter actually, and some companies do that effectively. I thought that was a very nice suggestion. So I have just taken that as a lesson, to continue doing this, because nobody knows, what kind of situations will be thrown in, right, as over a period of time. Again, health is, is important, is an understatement of the century, I think. We are obviously, like everybody else, focused on ensuring that employees are safe. So moving forward, we are going to transition to voluntary office presence, all right? Health vigilance, what we mean is that even the slightest of flu or this or that, we're going to encourage employees not to come to office, to kind of make sure that they take care of, and where possible, really even get tested, if they thought that they suspect that there was something that is a little beyond the normal, right? The stringent, safety guidelines for home, we keep repeating that. Our HR team keeps repeating that. Obviously in the office, everybody, there's fogging done, there is temperatures looked at. Sometimes people have to come to office, but then we use kind of all the guidelines to be safe, to remain safe, to keep others safe as well, social distancing and all that, right? And we all know, it seems that, this pandemic is here to stay for some time. So, how do we ensure that mentally, emotionally, psychologically, the people feel grounded, right? Sometimes it can get to you, and we have seen a little bit of that, and we are just still thinking. I don't think we have all the answers, but we are trying to figure out the best way to ensure how to kind of get this hybrid, environment of socially physical socializing versus virtual socializing. And by socializing, I'm not just talking of family time, I'm looking at work socialization, right? Because a lot of creative things get done when teams and people are talking and meeting and getting things done, right? We are looking at more overlapping hours. When you look at from a customer perspective, even though all of them have not requested this, even our customers were trying to adjust to some of these new work environments, work from home and all that. They were not kind of ready to get into all that. And in the US is a little bit different because there's no local help. If both parents are working, the young children, it becomes even a bigger challenge. So we kind of offered to really provide more overlapping hours for our customers without any extra cost to the customer, right? And then new ways to have work-life balance, because work from home is becoming synonymous to work from office, right? How will you combine the two? And what is the optimum way of getting this done, right? Finally, let's say opportunities-wise, I would say that, we had several of our teams. We encouraged them to accelerate, the learning, adoption of new skills. And, there was some special incentives put by the HR team on additional courses through Harvard Extension Learning, Coursera, Udemy. All these, virtual hackathons we had. Otherwise, we would have physical hackathons. Every quarter there would be, a Saturday when everybody came in the morning, and in the evening, by the evening, they were supposed to come up with a little product that they could demonstrate to somebody, right? That's what technical teams did. We also formed what we call Tiger teams. Tiger teams is around different topics like maybe Kafka or, Azure or AWS or Lambda, services or Kubernetes or any of these so-called emerging cloud technologies. Of course, mobile, PHP, some of the standard stuff, as well as some of the emerging stuff. And these Tiger teams really take the lead in terms of learning and then teaching and educating, the other colleagues and team members. And all those who participate in this obviously are specially recognized and rewarded. And some of them will be then, called czars or czarinas, because they achieve this status. And, this is all just to keep this whole excitement, this momentum, this ability to really remain sane while we are all locked in our homes, right? Creativity, obviously, sharing of recipes, painting, sharing art, music, all those different things. Caring for elders in India is big time. We had this special kind of a shout out for people who said that this is what they did for the parents, or, this is how they enabled or helped, and everybody got recognized, which otherwise in a normal office environment, you would not talk more of that. But here we kind of encouraged, a lot more of that so-called personal sharing, because that kept the energies going. And finally, giving back to the community, right? I mean, as a company, we are small, but in our own way, whatever little we can contribute monetarily, financially, we did that. Our teams, in some cases where possible with social distancing and all that, went and actually helped with some of the NGOs locally. And, those get recognized. At the end of the day, as humans, all of us, right, what we need is really a tap at the back when we say, hey, you're doing great, and I'm there to support you. And, we are here to support each other. And I think that spirit is what really is helping all of us get through this, difficult times. And I look forward to really learning and hearing more from all of you as we go. So this is really the end of my presentation here. Thank you so much for giving me this opportunity to really share some of our thoughts.
Ashok, thank you very much. What a fascinating background and an incredible a very nice presentation, very informative presentation. I have a new word for my vocabulary, zappy hours. I love that statement. I love that. And by the way, a shameless plug for one of the people who helps our TiE SoCal Connect, which might help you also. You should connect with Zina Dhala. She runs a Health at Your Desk program, and she's incredible. She's brought in this posture alignment techniques at your desk, which I think from a health standpoint, which you're looking at for your employees, which is incredible at these times.
Sorry, what did you say was the name?
I will send it to you offline, but Zina Dhala. Zina Dhala, okay?
Okay.
So,
all right.
Hey,
thank
advertisement, I'm telling you, she's a Google star right now. So thank you so much. We are looking forward to your feedback during the question hours, but such a fascinating background. Thank you so much, Ashok. I really appreciate it. Our next guest is Ashish Sabu. Ashish is founder and CEO of Tech Synergy, a leading provider of audio transcription, translation, medical record review, customer service, call center, and other back office support services to customers around the world. Staffed with over 500 people and operating around the clock, Tech Synergy works as an extended office for their clients, enabling them to be nimble and cost-effective. He's also the founder of You Just Run, a company devoted to simplifying the process of organizing sporting events, particularly marathon races, cycling, and swimming in India. What a fascinating company. You need to learn more about that. are end-to-end solutions for event organization from conceptualization to execution, including online registration, RFID race timing, real-time race tracking, and results, greatly simplify event organization tasks. Ashish Sabu has an MS from USC. Fight on, I'm telling you. And UCLA Anderson School. Oh, boo, but that's okay. Ashish, welcome on board. You're a fellow Trojan, so welcome on board. The microphone is all yours. Ashish, start by telling us a little bit more about yourself. And you're the starter of this conversation, so tell us a little bit more about your thinking. And let's tell us a little bit more about what you're thinking on opportunities and your experiences in this unique era. Anshuman has something
before. Yeah, before you start, Ashok, can you stop sharing this slide, please?
Oh, sure. Yes, sorry.
No worries.
Yep. Yeah.
There you go.
That's all right. Thank you. And Ashok, thank you for the fabulous presentation. And going second, I don't have any presentation as such. I'm going to cover a few topics which I thought would be relevant. And this whole topic came about when we were discussing in our Friday Connect some of the additional topics, because I want to learn from other people as well, because we have certain challenges and we are also making up things as we go along in this whole work from home environment. And thanks, Ravi, for that introduction. So as you said, a little bit about me. I did my master's in industrial and systems engineering from USC in '95. Before that, I'm born and brought up in Indore and did my undergrad in industrial and production engineering from Indore, and just moved to US at USC to do my master's. So till I finished my master's, I had never worked before. Right after the master's, I went into doing ERP consulting. At that time, BON used to be a pretty big software competing against the likes of Oracle and SAP. So I used to do BON ERP implementation in large companies, including companies like Schlumberger and Universal. And then I went back to do my MBA at Anderson, and that's where I started this company, TiE Synergy, which basically is a business process outsourcing company in a very, very Indian way. So it basically has all the clients, mostly in North America, some clients we have in Europe, but then we do all their back office operations from our office in Indore, and we have 3 offices in Philippines. So we have a different structure than a lot of the BPO companies, and we work round the clock 24/7, 365, because we are a BPO company. So our product, our delivery is pretty instantaneous. We are dealing with short audio files for dictations and court hearings and things like that, with delivery of as low as 2 to 3 hours, and even document review and other processes where the delivery has to be overnight. A lot of our call center operation, which are not your typical, can I sell you a credit card kind of thing, but these are more of scheduled calls, getting patient history and providing those information back to the doctors. So again, these are very task-oriented, very, very short span kind of thing with rapid turnaround. So we do have almost 500 people across these 4 offices, but it's a very flat structure because most of the people are actually doing these tasks, and these are very rapid turnaround. So we had a very unique challenge when this whole COVID situation arose, and dealing with different geographies, different offices, different government restrictions, it was a little bit of challenge. Our first office, which is in Indore was one of the hotspots early on. But Indore is one of our smallest offices, about 75 people there. So what we were able to do is we were able to provide laptops to some of those, and most of those people actually work from our office. So we had to physically give them their desktops. So we used delivery vans and things like that, and provided them our technical support people to go and set it up. The other challenge in India, which I found, and not only in India but Philippines also, is like here we take a lot of things for granted. We take internet for granted. we take workspace in our home for granted. Like, yeah, you will have a desk and you will be able to dedicate 8 to 10 hours on that desk without being interrupted. It's not the case everywhere, especially in a lot of smaller cities and smaller homes in India and in Philippines. Just being able to, can you guys hear me?
Yes, I
see
can.
everybody
Yes,
frozen.
I can. No. Yes, I can. Go ahead.
Okay, because Ravi, your video is frozen. So okay, now. So yeah, as I was saying, so those were some of the challenges we kind of faced, and actually a lot of people did not really have internet. So for initial few days, they were just using their mobile hotspot, and then we were trying to scramble getting them internet connection where all the services were down in terms of the actual installation physically. So we use what they call dongles in India, basically get those rechargeable dongles, put $300, $500 prepaid rupees charge in that, and get them online. So yeah, you have to think and make up things as they go, because these are new challenges coming up. And on the same token, we have 3 offices in Philippines, and one of the offices is in this remote island called this town called Dumaguete. And in first 3 days, they ran out of each and every dongle there, because it's a big hotspot, or not hotspot as in COVID, but it's a big spot for BPO operations, and all the companies there were scrambling for these. So we had to try and get some of these dongles, purchased in Manila, and then ship them over and get these people sorted out. Thankfully, a lot of people actually had one or the other computer at home, so we did not have to provide everybody a computer. Otherwise, it would have been impossible for us. As Ashok said, I mean, getting laptops for everybody in such a small amount of time is impossible. Not only physically, but also economically, it's not possible for companies to just do that overnight. So that was another issue we faced and we addressed. Another challenge in these circumstances is power. So a lot of places don't really have full 24/7 uninterrupted power. So you would be in the middle of a Zoom meeting, or you would be in the middle of a Skype session, and all of a sudden the screen goes blank, and then later on you get a text message from them saying, we don't have power anymore. So we did provide some UPS facilities to some of the people, but again, all these things, UPS, dongles, you name it, they were all out of stock. Basic things like keyboards and mouse, you try to get it, and they were trying to sell it for 3 to 4 times of the price, because everybody was trying to set up their work from home setup in these situations. So those were really the challenges we faced early on. In terms of actually getting the people to work, it wasn't that big of a problem, because we are set up as a remote operation anyhow. If you think about it, we are an extended office for our clients. So we are doing their work remotely through our offices, and we were doing it because of security and compliance, because we needed to keep their data confidential, their information confidential, and we felt we could do that better in an office environment than letting people work from home. But then with our cloud-based workflow software, we were able to have them log in remotely and still be able to do that. Although I still would like some of the people on this group to kind of address how physically you can still make sure that they are not taking a screenshot of something or taking the data, otherwise and misusing it. We did not have a breach yet, but that is one concern which I always have when people are working remotely like this, especially in their own home, and the computer might be left unattended or things like that. So those are some real concerns which we need to address. In terms of the productivity and overall morale, I found that was okay, but I'm not sure if it just was because of the initial exuberance of being able to spend more time with their family and be there, because they were not able to do that early on. From our internal surveys, I found almost 50% of the people are ready to go back to the office. They want to go back and primarily for a couple of reasons. One is basically they don't really have enough space in their home, a dedicated space which they can kind of separate work from their personal life. So right now what is happening is 24/7, it's becoming work life or personal life. It's all intertwined right now. So there is a big issue which I see where people are saying, well, I don't really know when I'm working or when I'm not working, and it's a little bit of challenge, and we are trying to address that also. But that just happens because the person is always there at home. The other thing is just being able to have dedicated space, a desk, or a home office. Not everybody has access to that. In India and even in Philippines, a lot of those people have just one desk where the kid is doing their homework, the husband is doing his work, the wife is also trying to do her work because she is working from home. So all of a sudden, now you need 3 or 4 different offices or different desks in one home, which is really not possible for many people. So how do you have that continue? And either you compensate them so that they can rent a bigger house, or you let them come back. And what I found is more than half of the people, as I said, they are ready to come back, which is very, very different than some of the surveys we are coming across here in US, where 70 to 80% people are saying they are loving this whole work from home environment. I just read a McKinsey report which came on 8th of June, where they said 82% of the work from home people said, yeah, they want to work from home forever. Who knows if it's, as Ashok said earlier, initial exuberance, or it will continue. But I'm seeing a difference, at least in my employees in both Philippines and India. Though they are saying, oh, we are saving money on commute, we are saving time on commute, so we are able to spend more time working, but we still want to come back to the office. Another thing I think which plays into this is by coming to office, they are able to segregate work and home. So they are able to step into their car or step into the bus, come to the office, get into the work mindset, do the work. When they go back home, they are at home. They are just doing or living their personal life. So I think for a lot of people, that personal work-life balance is very important. And that's what I'm seeing in some of those people. So moving forward in terms of our opportunities, or the way I see, at least for us moving forward, would be we will probably be providing everybody an option whether they want to work from home or not. And I feel at least about 50% of those are going to come back to our office. Even for the other people, we plan to at least have them come every 15 days or something for some one-on-one meetings, that kind of social interaction. And for some other people, especially for new joinees, we'll try to create a program where initially they are in office working with their mentors, getting the training, and then going back and working remotely if they feel that's possible. For now, pretty much everybody is still working from home, although most of the lockdown has opened up in all 4 cities where our offices are, but people are still very fearful of the contact and things like that. And on our side also, there is the additional burden of providing all the safety and cleaning and things like that. And local administration is very, very rigid about some of those kinds of things. So instead of jeopardizing anybody's health, we felt it best for people to just work from the comfort of their home as far as possible. And then we'll probably take a look at it in another couple months and start bringing some of those people back. But it's going to be a mixed or a hybrid scenario as far as I can see moving forward. A little bit about the other part of other business, the You Just Run business, which we have, which is basically about the races and marathons and things like that. And that is completely stopped for obvious reasons, because a marathon by definition means thousands and thousands of people together running for 4 or 5 hours and then congregating in huge crowds. So that is just not possible right now. So what we have done for last few months is we have promoted virtual races. So the people can just register on our website, then they can say they are going to run a virtual race of 5K or 10K on such and such date. Then they just use our app to publish their coordinates back and send us their time report. And then we provide them an online certificate and some swag like T-shirt or something. So just to keep the momentum going. But yeah, I think racing, we are still trying to look at how that is going to work out. But for 2020, I think the racing calendar is all gone. From 2021 onwards, we hope we can start conducting races, maybe in a different way, have batches of people start running instead of, a huge crowd together, like a big bang. And with the RFID technology, you can actually do that because you can time everybody when they're starting based on their chip. So that's what we are looking to do. So yeah, a lot of learning. We are still early in this game. It seems the pandemic, unfortunately, it's rearing its ugly head again, at least here in California and even in India. Philippines, thankfully, it's way better and it's under control. So I hope we can get back to some kind of normalcy in next few months. But that's about it from my end. We can open it up for questions, and I would love to know from our panel and from our audience also what their experience has been in some of these fields, especially on the data security type and on HIPAA compliance and things like that.
Right.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much, Ashish. That is, first of all, what a fascinating background, right? Offices in India and the Philippines. And what an awesome organization. Thank you very much for that. I just wanted to give you an anecdote about your question on security in the automotive industry, as you know, in the automotive industry, right? And I have been discussing this with a lot of OEMs, suppliers, and tier ones. Calibration equipment, with COVID coming up, there are a lot of engineers who took their calibration, who were authorized to take their calibration equipment from testing labs to their garages to do work from their house. And a couple of people actually started setting up moonlighting businesses for other companies with this corporate stuff. And now I know a big OEM that is looking into a big case on this and looking into seeing how confidentiality works and how you can make your equipment, quote unquote, yours, right? So fascinating industry. I'm going to go into questions in just a little bit while Anshuman and Anil are looking into the question and answer box. I'm going to throw out a question out here to both of you. What are some of your failures in this experience? Have you done something that was just a banana peel and you fell on it?
That's a tough one. I mean, I don't really have an abject failure. I don't think so, touch wood. But yeah, a lot of times, as I said, one of the things I'm still struggling with is this whole power situation, especially in Indore, where the productivity does go down time to time, and we just cannot control it. And I'm not even sure how to help these individuals because putting a 8 to 10 hour UPS in each employee's home is just not financially viable. And not having a UPS means that they will log out or they will just have a computer failure any given point of time. So that is something we are still struggling with, and that's the reason I was saying that a lot of people want to come back also, because they also get frustrated with these situations. In our office, we have an on-site gen set, so power is never a problem, and especially in these summer days, when the power goes off, those people really wish they were at office where the air conditioning and everything was working, instead of being at home without any air conditioning, not even a fan to cool the room with.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, on that, with all my employees, and they work remotely. I have employees in Assam, Goa, Chandigarh, in Bihar, in Jharkhand, basically Bokaro also. And out of the 80 people who work for me, UPS was one of the investment that I had to do because I have a 4-hour UPS. So, we ran some data and seen that, it is hardly that the power will be gone for more than 4 hours.
Right.
But how I offset that cost was because, I don't have a physical location as you do in Indore. Yeah, I have an office in Pune, but it is more for the executives. So only few people can be accommodated there. So since 2011, my model was always let people work from home. Yeah, there are certain issues like a dog barking while they are on the call and talking to my researchers and all. But the productivity, once they, you know, outgrow the hoop of 6 months to a year, their productivity really goes up. And I give them a dongle for internet and a hardline internet, but with that, the power situation with the UPS has been mitigated, and now things are working very, very fine. So
in my particular case for Traction Labs, I'm a strategy planner guy, right? So I like spreadsheets, planning it 3 months, 6 months, and 100 days and a couple of years in advance. I had this perfect budget going into March, and all that went out of the roof. I'm telling you, my budgets are out of whack. My sales plans are out of whack. It took me about 90 days, 30 to 90 days to 30 to 60 days to just get that back, right? Because I was just getting into this India operations for a couple of American clients. So that said,
to that, I would like to, what we are doing in India is we have a big NOC operations where we manage 17,000 switches, about 500 firewalls. And it's a 24/7 NOC. We had to basically 1/4 of staff comes to office, but all the others, they work from home. It's a 24/7 shift. So that's what we're doing. And also all these guys, they have to, because of security, we have an open VPN set up. So they all have to log into our VPN.
Hey, Anil, while you're thinking about it, so tell us, that's a very interesting thing, right? I think you bring up this idea of security and VPNs, right? Tell the audience a little bit more about that context from where you're working, so what your team does, so that the audience understands your background a little bit, so that your window into this particular situation is very unique.
Yeah, we are an MSP, managed services provider. We provide for clients, we have small and medium-sized companies. We manage their entire network or servers or cloud. And we also not only manage, we monitor their 24/7 operations.
Right. So that's very interesting.
Our clients do not go down. Their websites, or it could be e-commerce, or it could be different industries. So we do that. We challenge with the situation with the NOC. That was the biggest challenge for us. We need to make sure the security is there. So we had a very limited VPN. So we actually, everybody is on AWS on an open VPN setup, and we had to get a lot more licenses set up. So that was a situation, and 1/4 of the staff only goes in the NOC team. Only 1/4 of the staff goes there, but all the other staff still work from home.
Fantastic. What a fascinating company. Both you and Anshuman, you're in the HR industry, right? That's the context that you brought this up in, correct? In your offices in Jharkhand, correct? So they are offering HR services, right?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. We have 30 participants. We have 4 questions, and I'll start with Ashok. First of all, tell us about your failures, but I'll take a question from a user out here. That way we are bringing in the audience out here, right? So the first question, Ashok, you must have moved on to some other platform for online meetings since Indian government is banning Chinese apps, including Zoom. So that's yeah. So comment on that a little bit, as well as if you have experienced some failures also, which is not a bad thing, by the way. Failures are
absolutely, absolutely. I think failure would be too strong a word. I mean, at least in our context, because nothing was a 0 or a 1. I mean, there were situations that we had to deal with. So a couple of examples. One is that, for example, one of our fintech customers, right, here in California, actually, for our teams, they actually give their own laptops. They don't want us to buy our laptops, nothing, no so-called loading of software and the usual stuff that happens. They would physically ship a laptop to our engineers. And one of the engineers, their laptop kind of, conked out, and then what do you do? Because we cannot just give another laptop to the person. And, they are all working on kind of critical work because it's a product. We build products, right? And therefore, that was seen as a gap. And so the only way to address that was really for us to allow that engineer to log in under very special kind of supervision through VPN and to do some of that work and support the team, in any other way that was possible, right? And so we had to do that. In another situation, we have again, this is a California-based company. They maybe are the second or the third largest point of sale terminals, for healthcare, retail, etc., all that, that you see all around. They OEM their kind of devices for a variety of different kind of industries. And they want to test their equipment, right? Different devices. All those equipment was in the office, right? Obviously, we cannot have the engineer. When we did this, work from home, we had to kind of make special arrangement to have all that test equipment, be taken and some space created. And as you were explaining earlier, some kind of arrangement made for that to occur, right? So there was a couple of those hiccups that came up, but then, one was able to deal with that. I would think that the biggest issue has already been covered by Ashish, was or is in some cases where it's a joint family, smaller house, children, parents, where do you move? I mean, where do you take meeting calls from? All that stuff, right? That's a challenge. It's not, it's sometimes amusing, but sometimes it's embarrassing. Sometimes it's unproductive. Sometimes it creates, it does have an effect. And we have to deal with that. I don't think there is a real short-term answer or, ability to do that. On a longer term, one can always say that should we as a company maybe have one or two such facilities which are available, which can be transitionary kind of facilities. I don't know. I mean, I really don't know how that would work and the economics of that and the practicality of that and all that stuff, because you are talking of the family, right? You're not talking of an individual. If a guy was a single person, then that's a different matter, right? So that's the first part. What was your second question?
The question here was that the comment here from a SoCal CM.
Oh, yes, of course. Zoom
is about
Zoom,
moving
right?
platform to online meetings.
Right. So we all know, right, that first of all, it's not yet banned in India. Zoom is not banned, right? It's not banned. And as we all know, Zoom is really not a China-based company, right? It's a California company, registered or, in Delaware. The owner is an American citizen, Eric, and therefore, there is no, I don't think that it will really come to that. Plus Zoom, we know that once this pandemic hit and the number of people, there were some security issues, loopholes, etc., that happened. So they themselves have kind of, gone to 256-bit kind of encryption and added several other layers of security. And, I would imagine there will always be a little bit of a shadow on Zoom from all around the world, because if you look at, Zoom, I was, part of this cloud native conference. I just attended just some sessions. They were saying that more than 60,000 people were on that online session. 60,000 people. I mean, incredible. Can you imagine what that is? I mean, it's unbelievable, right? Yeah. So I don't think that there is an easy alternative immediately. And I know there'll be those political kind of consideration, security considerations. Anything with China these days is on top of that list, right? It does. Yeah, I mean, this pandemic we are talking about also sometimes gets shoved under that. There is this back and forth. But I think that Zoom, if Zoom, by the way, if it gets banned, then we'll move with whatever is next best. Microsoft Teams is there. Everybody else is coming up, and there'll be, I think, lot of innovation happening in this space. As we speak, there are a lot of companies doing that.
Yeah, I think Zoom is an American platform, by the way. The guy was
Yeah,
a 60
in
employee.
fact,
He's a
I
pretty
would like
interesting guy,
to.
so, yeah.
I would like to add on what Ashok said. We have a charter member, Murli, and he runs a company called Cyber Horizon. And they are an upcoming competition of Zoom. Basically, Government of India, about 2 months ago, Ministry of Information Technology, did float a Indian-based company to come up and build them interview, the platform, the webinar platform and all. So there were 2,486 companies who applied for that, including some of the very big companies out of India. This guy, he lives here in Cerritos, California. His company also did participate in that, and currently in the top 12. The second round of pre-screening is going to happen sometime next week, and then they will select top 3. So he is competing with companies like Zoho, and so real good. He's our charter member. We'll be featuring him out in our upcoming newsletter also. So check that guy out. Cyber Horizon by Murli.
Excellent. There is a question here. Thank you for that, Anshuman. There's a question out here. Since we are taking questions here, I see a question directed to you, Ashish. So I'll take that, and then I'll take a couple of others. Ashish, have you thought about providing a solar panel with your laptop to employees who work from home? Employees can run the laptop and hotspot from one panel that costs less than $100 to minimize. So that's a charter member asking that question. And I'll also plug in another question, that way both of you can jump in on this. How relevant is co-working spaces for people who work remotely in order to avoid the regular problems that happen in Indian households? That's from Shankar Kumar. So 2 questions, I kind of piled both of them there, bracketed them. Solar panels, co-working spaces. Ashish, with you. Ashish, I don't think we can hear you. You're on mute. I think you went on unmute. There you go. I can't press unmute. Ashish is
It's a little bit
frozen.
of a bandwidth issue. He will come back in a minute. Okay,
Sure.
he's there.
Yeah, solar panel is interesting. I haven't thought of that and the logistics of that, but about it. As I said, can you hear me?
Yeah, you're kind of breaking in and out, and I think now we've lost you completely. So Ashok, you want to start up, and while Ashish gets back on.
So, this whole notion of co-work spaces, or, coming back to office and working, etc., I think will fall under the same category, right? It's just a question of how practical, how safe, right? If you are looking at co-working space, the social distances, the hygiene part of it, and all those other observations, the liability question, is a major question that comes in, because people can come in from anywhere and they come in temporary and then they go out. How would you control that, especially for asymptomatic kind of situations, which is a real challenge. And this phenomena is evolving as we speak, right? We don't know everything about this. So on the whole, it seems that companies would like to kind of err on the safer side rather than on the aggressive side, right? I would rather not bring the people in and deal with the situation as compared to saying, oh, just come in and then we'll keep everything. Because no matter what we do, something can fall through the cracks, and just that one incident can jeopardize. I mean, that I know that in Delhi, where my in-laws live, somebody down the road had a case, and they blocked the whole road for 28 days.
Yeah.
28 days. Nobody can come in and can go, right? I mean, we haven't seen that kind of a phenomena here yet, but something is going to come, especially in California. If we look at the trend that's happening today, I mean, it's a scary trend. Sitting here, it's a very, very Los Angeles, right? I mean, you look at it's the highest in the whole country. I mean, it's just scary and unimaginable. So I think that there's no simple answer. And it's like theaters, right? I can open the theater. I may, say social distancing, but in a theater for, let's say, 100 seats, can I afford to run it for 20 people? I mean, you know, I will space name whatever. Is it viable or not? Same thing is going to happen with co-working space. Then there's a question of security, safety, privacy, all those other things, right? That naturally everybody would worry about. So this are the thoughts that will definitely need to be addressed before we can jump one way or the other.
Yeah, just a very quick anecdote before Ashish jumps in. I have a very good friend in China, and I understand in places where they lock down, they literally lock the gates of an apartment complex. Literally, there's a party official, communist, there's a town official that comes. He or she becomes the guard gate in there, and they take forcefully. They go through the whole apartment complex on a very organized basis, 3 times a day, take temperatures, of everybody in the family. It's like there's no privacy and you're in lockdown. In Hyderabad, my sister was telling me at the end of street corners, there are policemen with dandas. If you are in a lockdown, it is it, man. That's it. Ashish, sorry, we lost you. Talk about solar panels and relevance to dandas and space. Co-working.
So solar panel is an interesting idea. We'll have to, thanks for that suggestion. We'll have to look at that if that's feasible or not, because again, putting up a solar panel is not as easy as 1, 2, 3, take a solar panel and just put it up. Right. Depends on your location of the house, your apartment. It's a lot more challenging than here in California. We assume everybody has a roof where they can just put a solar panel. Whereas that is probably not practical in a lot of places in India, but that is something, if it works for some of the people, then yeah, it can be a low cost solution. Going back to what Ashok was saying though, yeah, there is no one size fits all. I mean, the situation is evolving. We just have to be very careful and not act early on like what has happened in some of the states here where opening up was too early and now it's just coming back. And in India, you are right. I mean, if I bring back my employees to my office and even if one person tests positive, they will seal the whole office. They will not only seal the whole office, they will seal the whole floor of the building. So you don't want that to happen. And when things are working almost all right from home, why shake it and why change it? So we are going to stay put, I think, for next 3 months. And as things evolve, we'll have to make certain decisions. So yeah, highly fluid situation. I think somebody just posted here that California has gone back to stage 1 while we were talking. I don't know what that means, but we'll have to search on internet. But if that is something happening, then, you know, we just have to be careful and just stay within the confines of our home and just work as safely as possible.
Yeah, the person who, hey Ashish, just to point out, the person who asked that question on solar panels has a YouTube video. So when you get a chance, we'll send that link to you. I'm interested in learning what the difference between India and Philippines is, because we've not heard too many incidents coming out of the Philippines. I'll also layer that with another question from Dhawal out here, one about how many employees will come back to offices in the US and offshore, and others. So how many people will come back after the COVID, after we find a virus and stuff like that, what the future will be, right? He's looking into the future of work, right? So two things. First of all, the YouTube video there, and comment about Philippines. What are they doing different in?
Yeah, so thankfully in Philippines, the things haven't gone that bad. They were pretty early on. They implemented very strict lockdown in all the cities and restricted the movement in and out of cities and in and out of houses. So things have been in control even now, even after they're opening up. I don't hear many cases, and a lot of people who want to come to the office are able to come to the office. Especially for our call center operation, it was very urgent for us for having some of them come back, because most of the call center work happens in the middle of the night there, and in a small house, trying to make those phone calls with your family sleeping nearby and things like that can be a challenge. Although contact center, all the solutions are cloud-based, so having the equipment is not a problem, but just having a good accessible space and be able to talk freely was definitely a challenge. So yeah, most of those people are now working from our Manila office now.
But
is there a lot of testing in the
better.
Philippines that you're
Sorry?
aware of? Is the testing compulsory across the board, or
No,
is it just
testing is not
occurrence?
it's they cannot make it compulsory. Nobody has enough tests to make it compulsory anyhow. So it's really when there is the situation where it's not even asymptomatic, when you really have symptoms and you really are in a little bit of advanced stage where they can identify, okay, you check 1, 2, and 3 box, then go and get the COVID testing done. But most of the times, even after that, they are just sending you back home saying be in isolation for 7 to 10 days and take a couple of those regular medicines, not remdesivir, and just be done with that.
In South Korea, contact tracing more than testing, they're using contact tracing. They're so connected. Their whole population is voluntarily connected through a government app.
South Korea is a more advanced country, and Philippines in a lot of ways is very similar to where India was maybe like 10 years back. So Philippines is still, in developing stages, and being an archipelago of islands, they have their own challenges of communication and transportation and things like that. But maybe that also prevented the things from spreading so fast because they are on all these different islands, 3 big islands, and then almost like a few hundred small islands. So movement is restricted a little bit anyhow. So that did help, I think. But overall, Philippines is in a much better condition than in India in that sense. And you had a second part to the question?
No, it's okay. I'll tell you what, we are already 10 minutes over.
All right.
I know unless Anshuman and Anil, I'll hand it back to you. Thank you. Unless you have some more questions, they might go through the questions.
I would like to add one thing to
what
Ashish and Ashok said earlier. There is a second virus being monitored, which is coming out of China now. Also, we actually in India, most of our staff, due to business, we did lay off some, but we did add few technical PMs to the teams. That has actually improved our productivity and working from home.
Going back to Ashok's point, right? Accountability and productivity has gone up. That was one of Ashok's observations.
Exactly. And most likely we will be, even after a year or two, we will be sticking more work from home,
Excellent. Anshuman and Ashok, first of all, thank you for Ashok and Ashish for such a great panel. Ashish, thank you for making this proposal. Please come up with some more of these ideas because we love this. Seriously, it was very useful, and I get to learn about people, from people who have put in questions. Sorry if we missed yours, but thank you for putting them. Thank you for attending. It's back to our producers, Anshuman and Anil. Thank you so much, guys.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you to all the attendees and the panel and the moderator. It was an hour and a half spent so well. I lost track of time. It was such a smooth flowing discussion. And thank you, everyone. The video will be uploaded today. And if you have missed it, or if you would like to share it between your friends and all, please do check that video out. Another thing, this Friday is a TiE Connect, and next Wednesday, we are going to talk about Microsoft solutions for small businesses. So the registration link will be up soon. Please do register for that. Again, next Wednesday, July 8th, 12 to 1 p.m. Thank you.
Thank you, guys. Thank you.
Thank you. Have a great day.
Thank you.
Stay safe.
Thank you.
Bye.
Yeah,
stay safe.
Bye-bye.